Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. Today we're doing something a little bit different. I'm going to tell you another big bass story, but instead of just telling you, we're going to watch the catch footage as well. But I want to give you some background to it and tell you what was really going on. So we'll roll that footage. Some of you guys have seen this before, some of you haven't, but I've never told the story that goes along with it, and the entire thing is pretty incredible. So this is an 11-pounder from Clear Lake. Basically what was going on was the River to Sea guys were all in town. They had rented a house up on Clear Lake just for their crew to get away and, I don't know, fish baits or whatever was going on. But Tim and I got a call while they were here to see if we wanted to come hang out. And we're friends with a lot of those guys. You know, they're a local company, good people. So I ended up going out with Simon, and Simon is the owner of River to Sea. He's the other guy that's in this catch video. Just an incredible person. In my opinion, one of the best lure designers in the world. Doesn't get credit for it. He just does things differently, thinks differently, phenomenal bait designer, and just a really nice guy. So I had the opportunity to go out with Simon, and we went out in the morning just fishing, just catching fish. We were actually throwing spinnerbaits and caught a bunch of fish, small fish. We caught a lot of fish, just had a really good time. And we went for a few hours, started cranking, catching fish, and we just hadn't got that big bite, and nobody had. It was a fairly slow time. Everybody was catching fish, but nobody was getting monsters. And I was on this pattern, and I knew I was on a pattern, throwing a swim bait. And I had been throwing, it was a Huddleston, 8-inch Huddleston. Like everything, we give you links to all the gear down in the video description. But I had been on this pattern, and Simon is one of those guys, you know, he owns a brand, he designs baits, but there's just no ego. You know, he couldn't care less what we threw. So we'd been fishing for hours throwing the spinnerbait and the crank. I said, you know, Simon, you want to go catch a big one? And he said, yeah, let's go catch a big one. And as soon as the words came out of my mouth, you all know how this works, right? We're all fishermen. We all know. As soon as you like commit that you can do something, something's gonna go haywire, right? It's just not gonna happen. So as soon as it came out of my mouth, I'm like, what was I thinking? I know I'm on them. I know exactly where they are. I know exactly how they're eating, how they're positioned, what I need to throw for them on this particular ledge. But still, once you're committed, you're committed. So my heart's like, what did you get yourself into? But I'm like, all right, let's line up and let's run out there. And that's kind of where this video picks up. But we got onto the spot. It's offshore, rocky ledge, and I lined up, and I actually made 3 casts. First cast, I fired out there, I let that bait go down to bottom. I was throwing the ROF-12, the jig hook. Started creeping, and we've talked to you guys about how to do this before. Really just creeping bottom. I got bit, swing, and I miss it. Reel up, line up, fire out there again, let that bait go to bottom, start that retrieve. You can feel the rocks, that bait's just ticking up over those rocks. Just creeping along, and she smoked it. She hit it hard too, just donk. I hit that fish as hard as I could, start grinding her. You can see Simon's got that net, scoops that fish up, on the deck she goes. And that fish, she was such a clockwork fish. It was so amazing. I mean, anytime you catch a 10-plus pounder, it's a big deal, right? It's a fantastic thing. They're absolutely fish of a lifetime. But to catch one basically on demand, and to catch it around good people, surrounded by good friends, is just a whole different ball game. Just awesome. That's what fishing is really about, you know, that good time with good friends and hopefully catching big bass. And it all came together in that moment. And I made one more cast, didn't get bit, and that was it. We had her in the live well. We went and met up with the other guys, and they got to see her, and just hung out. Just the whole experience of having that fish come together, really getting that bite when you needed to get it. It just doesn't happen like that very often. There are only a couple other times in my life where I can think I truly called a monster bass and followed through, and she was just right where she needed to be ate when she needed to eat, got her in the boat, everything flawless. It was awesome. And then to get to share that with somebody special like Simon, you know, like I said before, Simon, in my opinion, doesn't get the credit that he deserves in the industry yet. Just a brilliant lure designer. So to have somebody like that there to share it with, and for Simon to get to see such a big fish, I mean, you guys see his reaction. It was a big fish. And she was healthy too. She was very short, very tall. So really, I mean, that fish could pass for 12, 13, 14 pounds, but she didn't have the length. She was short, stout, just a clean, healthy, powerful fish. And we've taught you guys in the past, like I said, about how to fight him. But you saw in that video, as soon as you hit him as hard as you can and just start grinding. No matter what. I mean, that's a double-digit bass. That fish was over 11 pounds. I just cranked as hard as I could go. If you control their head, you don't need stinger hooks. You're not hoping and praying they don't come off. If you can plant a jig hook and you start grinding and you never let off and you don't let them turn their head, that's the key. You have to keep their head coming to the boat. If that head is pointed towards you and you're grinding, no matter what it takes, because when you lock up on a monster, it can literally get to where you almost can't turn the handle. But if you just force it, keep the handle turning, because she's trying to quarter away. And if a big bass can get her head turned away from you, the reason why that's so critical is that gives her the leverage to shake it, right? She can come back. And if they can shake their head, the weight of the swim bait with just a jig hook, in fact, I have one laying here. This is a weedless 8-inch, which is not normally available, but the jig hooks are big, right? And the weight of the bait compared to the jig hook, if they get that shake in, you're gonna lose them. They're gonna throw it. But if you control, if you force their head, force their head, force their head, no matter how hard they try and dig away, you just pull it back, they end up coming straight to the boat. When you think about catching a fish of that caliber, you're thinking it's like this long drawn out fight, and it's not. If you want to take a picture of them, if you actually want to get to hold them, you want that fight to be over as quickly as possible. Just force them to the net, get it done, then you get to actually experience that fish versus hooking them up, seeing them jump, and then ultimately losing that fish. Such a cool fish, such a neat experience. I'm glad I got to share it with you guys. I'm glad I got to share it with Simon and the other guys. Just an amazing, amazing thing all the way around. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching the video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you have video ideas, you know, we constantly get emails and comments with guys' ideas, and we actually look at all that stuff. So if you have ideas, if there's things you want to hear about, stories you want to hear about, topics you want covered, feel free to ask. We can't always do them, but we do our best to respond to every one of those. We appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.